So hello everyone, in this video we will be creating a flip slider. You could see as we go forward, we go to the next part like this. We can also change it with our icons. This can actually be anything. So this can also be turned into a dots or progress bar. So I'll explain how to turn this into a dots like a lot more faster. But if you want to know a bit more in detail, please check the custom base slider, which is like this one, which is a big video, 40+ minute, but I actually decided to make this one bigger so that I can just say in the other videos that hey, watch this, because then every video would just turn into like very huge video. So this is like the base video which you could learn or watch if you want to know a bit more. I will also be providing a free template which you could just download. It has all the sliders. It's a slider pack, you could see. I will also be creating a video on how to use this slider pack in future, so make sure to like and subscribe for it. And in this slider pack we have lot more sliders. So you could see in this pack we have the base swiper, which I explained how to do this, even how to add the animation and all. Then we have vertical slider, already created the video for it. We have this progress bar which shows like this, or autoplay bar, sorry, not progress bar. Then we got this cube slider, and then I also showed the cover flow slider, how to change it and how to customize the rotation, depth and all. And the best part about cover flow is that you could actually create like a lot more designs, not just this one. And today we will make the flip slider. Next video is going to be the card slider like this. Could see the creative slider is the most versatile one. Basically you could choose how the animation should happen. So even though I'm showing here only one of it, you could actually do like a lot more customization in it. Then we have the thumb slider. Basically we can have any element like shown like this. You could see, what do you call, like thumbnails. And the best part is you could actually create anything in here. So you could also create anything in here. So maybe you want to add like text or paragraph in here or some name and anything in here, you could do that. It doesn't have to be just like one single image. We will also be making a curve slider in future, and then the final would be the panoramic slider. Okay, so make sure to like and subscribe so that you could find when the video has been made. So let's quickly start making it, and this blog page would be in the description where I'll add the code that you need to use. You don't need to know coding, but you would still be able to make it. Okay, now please keep in mind I'm going to be a bit faster because I've already shown this how to make it in custom base slider. So I don't want to make the other videos big, which is why I'm just going to be a bit faster. So first thing first, we can just create any container, it doesn't really matter, but inside of this we will start making our carousel. So let's add our carousel, first one, and I'll call this as flip swiper. So you could see the layout, which is like swiper, then swiper wrapper. Inside of this there's a slides. So inside of this we will create swiper wrapper, but make sure everything is full width. Okay, you cannot have anything else. We'll call it as swiper wrapper. Inside of this would be our slides. So let's call it as slide 1, and let's give this a color. You could add anything, obviously it doesn't have to be, you know, this particular stuff. You could add any text, anything that you want. So let's duplicate our slides. So this is going to be slide 2, slide 3. You could rename it later. But one important thing is that our flip swiper, and you could check our swiper wrapper has some gap. We don't want that gap, so let's remove the padding. So there's no padding. Swiper wrapper and all these slides have gap or padding, so remove that. And then there's a gap between each of them. We don't want that. And then what you could do is you could add your arrows inside of this, or you could add it here. Okay, so it's your choice if you want to add your icons in here like this, if you want to add it in here or outside. I have found out that adding outside is a better choice. So let's add the outside one. Left like this, we'll do right like this. Okay, if you want, you could add it in a container or keep it like this too. So maybe if you want to give it, let's say, position absolute and all, you could do that, like a position absolute, place it somewhere else. It's up to you. I'm going to just do it via a container so that I can place it in this fashion, and then make it left to right in center like this. Inside this container I'll create pagination. Again, you could place it anywhere as long as they are like siblings of it. Okay, so you can place this, all three of this, inside the swiper, or you could just place it outside like this too, but I prefer to add this container. just like personal preference, okay, nothing crazy. So this is how it looks right now. We need to select our swiper wrapper, make it go left to right, so it's left to right, and make sure no wrap is enabled, because if you don't do that, then for mobile, you need to make sure for mobile it works too, okay? If you don't do that, then it would not work for mobile, because by default Elementor uses this option. So you need to make sure no wrap is done for all 3 devices. Now at the end, I will add an HTML widget. This one would have the code, which is this flip code. But before that, we need to give the CSS classes. So where are the CSS classes? Here you could see DM flip swiper. Copy it without the dot. Give it to the flip swiper. Okay. So now we need wrapper class, slide class, next element, previous element, and pagination. So where are the CSS classes for it? Well, it's in the code. If you go down, you would see wrapper class, CSS class, navigation, pagination. There is some extra stuff that I forgot to remove, but whatever. You could copy this DM flip swiper and give it to the wrapper. DM flip swiper wrapper. Oops, I didn't copy, I think. DM flip swiper wrapper. Let's copy this. Let's give the DM flip slide to our slides. Okay, I'm just going to delete the next two so that I can copy it quickly. So you see I copied it. Then let's open our this container and give the left arrow the next previous element. So make sure you do not copy the dot, okay? Do not copy the dot. Previous, let's add it here. And then for the next, we will do DM flip swiper next. Then we have pagination. Make sure do not copy the dot. Add it in here. And then finally, we will copy this code, go to our HTML widget and paste it. Suddenly nothing's visible. And this is just a bug that I found in Elementor. Not a bug, but an issue basically with Elementor styling, that without adding the opacity 0, it just didn't work properly in mobile. So here's an important thing I want to tell you. If you go down into the style section where we add the CSS, here you could see I have set here called make this one when editing. So when you want to edit, make this one, okay, so that you could see the slides. So also you could see that it's actually being bigger. So let me change the color of the second slide first. Let's do like this one. And then let's say if I want to see the third slide, I can just hide both of the top one and it will show around here. And then do green. Now let's make it back. Now it is very important that a swiper wrapper has a height. If you do not do that, it will just not work. So right now we did that, and you would see it would work for desktop, but will not work properly for mobile because we turned the opacity to be 1. So once we have edited everything, we can change it. So you could see that as we move it, it is actually working and then changing. These are also working. These buttons is also moving. And obviously we can go to a flip swiper wrapper and then make it smaller. You could do 30 or do pixels and then say 300 or something like 400. Make this in center. And if you check in mobile after changing the 1, like changing this to 1, it would not work. So make sure to do 0 like this once you have done everything. But when you're editing, make this 1 and then edit it, okay? So don't forget to turn this to 0 after you have done all the edits. And there we go, it works properly. Now we can just say that our pagination needs to go left to right like this, and that way our pagination would be left to right. Now let's learn a bit about the flip swiper. So the thing is, with the flip, we do not really have that much option to that much customization option available for the flip slider like we have for the other sliders. We have a lot more customization, right? There's only one thing that I can give you, that is how much the perspective is. So what you could do is you could go to your code, go down, you would see this perspective option around here. So if you remove the forward slash and star and also the last two like star and slash, this code would basically be active. And then if you do preview, this would be the perspective basically, like how much the 3D effect should look like. So you could see right now it looks like way too much. So again, play around with the values like 800, 200, whatever, And once you have done everything, you could just turn this to 0 like this. Okay, so what else can we do in here? Because with flip slider we don't really have that much options. There's loop option, so if you turn this to false, it will basically be not looping. And the grab cursor is basically our mouse turning to this hand icon. So for the customization part of the flip slider, we don't really have that much. So this is like all the options that we have, at least from what I know. But now I'll show how to turn this into dots. Okay, the way you turn this into a dot is simply removing this type fraction. So if you remove this type fraction, if you check the first video, you would know how to add this or how to change this, but I'm going to do a quick way. But if you want to learn a lot more in detail, just check the pagination section of the first video, and you would see we might see the dot or you might not see the dot. It's very case by case. So in case, so for me it is being visible, but for you guys, if it's not being visible, don't worry. Even if it's visible, just don't worry. Just go to the base slider, like custom base slider, go down. This is the base slider, and then in that code we have pagination here. You could see I've given it bullet class active and clickable to. We need to copy this and paste it in the pagination part of our this flip slider. Okay, so make sure there's a comma at the end, and then we add this. So what this basically does is that all our bullet class has been given DM base bullet CSS class, and whatever is the active one. So whenever there's an active one, which is going to be where is it, like this one, it will basically give this CSS class. So that way it allows us to customize it. So if we go down to the CSS part of this code, you can copy this much part for bullet pagination, and you would see that DM base bullet, the code that we use there, and then DM base bullet, but also when it has this code that active, use this. What this basically means is that when you copy this and add it to your style tab, which is at the end like this, we add our CSS, and CSS is used for styling, obviously. As soon as you add this, we will be able to control the size of it and color of it and all that stuff. For the distance, just go into here and play around with the gap and all. Okay, for the size of it, we have width and height, so make sure you give it the same value. But I've also set aspect ratio to be 1. Aspect ratio 1 basically means is that it will force it to be a square. Okay, so if you let's say give 20, if you give let's say width of 8 but height of 5, it should be a rectangle, right? But it, because I've used aspect ratio 1, it will give it to be a square. But if you want it to be rectangle, because maybe it works for your design, just remove this aspect ratio and use whatever width and height you want. And then body radius is how the curve should be. So if you do 100, it basically turns into a circle. If you do 0, it would be like around sharp edges. So play around with this value too. Then background color, obviously you could add your color or hex value in here. Cursor pointer is basically turning it into this pointer icon. Opacity 0.2 so that it does not look visible. You could see 0.2, but when it is active, we do opacity 1. And if you want to have let's say different color, you could add background. You can copy this, add background to be red, change the border radius. You could even change the height, you could change the scale, whatever you want. Or maybe just go into ChatGPT and say that when it is active, I want to do this and this, and it will give you the CSS code for here. There's also another option called progress bar, but for that just watch the first video, because then this video would get like way too big. And for autoplay, you would just copy this much part from the base slider page, copy this, go in here, and then at the end of this one around here, you could just paste it, and you would see that every 2.5 seconds it will basically change the slides automatically. You saw that it changed automatically. And then everything else is like understandable automatically. Like, do you want to disable on interaction? Make it true if you want it to. Pause on mouse enter, stop on last side, reverse direction, and all that stuff. Okay, wait for transition, keep it true. So that's all for this video. If you liked it, consider liking and subscribing, or get this free template. Support me by using any affiliate links like the Elementor or using the Hostinger, which I just renewed myself. I've been using it for like 3 years. Or you could also support me by getting my templates or sharing this video and whatever. And if you have any issues, write it in the comment or go to my website and add it in the contact form that this is the issue that you're facing. Don't forget to add your right email in that contact form. Okay.